Hello, and welcome to the Let Them Live podcast. I'm Emily Burning, your host, and also the president and co founder of Let Them Live. We bring you interviews with unsung heroes and inspiring individuals who are in the fight to save babies, mothers, and fathers from abortion. Our goal is to amplify their voices and bring their stories to the forefront, shedding light on the incredible work they do and the lives they touch. This is more than just a podcast. It's a platform that allows everyone to share their pro-life stories and inspire us to passionately continue advocating for life. Welcome back for another episode of the Let Them Live podcast. I am so excited today because we have our very own Tasha, and Tasha is one of our directors of our counseling department, and she started years ago. I can't even remember, maybe as a volunteer, but started in pregnancy counseling. And when I tell you guys that Tasha is just the most absolutely amazing person on the Let Them Live team, I absolutely mean it. I have never met someone who can handle, so many situations, so many high stress situations, work with so many moms at a time, and still just maintain and be organized and help so many women choose life. So Tasha, thank you so much for being on today.
Well, thank you for that introduction. And it's been almost 3 years.
Wow. Isn't that crazy how time flies? My conception of time, or my concept of time, is so skewed,
I know it has gone by fast. It feels like it's only been 6 months, but I'm doing 1 year checkups on moms, and I'm like, wow, I've been here long enough to be checking up on a 1 year birthday.
Mm-hmm. It's surreal because there's many points in the pregnancy counseling process that are surreal. So when a mom chooses life, when she has her baby, and now we're getting to the point where those babies are not so much babies anymore. They're turning 1, they're turning 2, they're turning 3. So that must be pretty amazing for you to experience.
It is. I love it. I love getting videos. The videos are my favorite. I get a lot of birthday videos specifically.
Oh, that's the best. And that's the most amazing thing about Let Them Live is we get to celebrate year after year with these moms and their babies.
It is. It's
I love
beautiful. Still am in contact with my very first mom that I ever had. Through every phone number change, she will reach out. You know, this is my updated phone number. That way I can stay in touch with her and get pictures and videos and grow with her as well.
That's absolutely amazing. So tell me why you wanted to become a pregnancy counselor, what your background is, what led you into this type of mission of helping women, and maybe even how you found about Let Them Live.
It's quite a story altogether. But I guess what really propelled me the most was that I was in a really traumatic relationship for about 17 years. The marriage was about 17 years. It was very toxic. There was a lot of abuse. It started as emotional, then it turned physical. I come from a family who had it all together when I was little, and the older I got, the less and less together it was. I just didn't notice because my parents had enough money to continue to cover it up. But I found out when I was a teenager that my mom, my dad, and my brother were all doing drugs. They were all alcoholics. And so I went out on my own, which I think is what propelled me into such a traumatic relationship. And then after doing that, I decided that I didn't want to live this way anymore. I was kind of sad. I had 4 kids left, and when he left, I had I think $4 in my bank account and 4 kids, all the bills. Had no idea how I was going to pay anything, and then I just decided I don't have to live this way. I'm gonna work my way up. I'm gonna get back in the game. I can do this. And I felt like I just wanted to volunteer. When my kids weren't here, I was a little bit lonely. So I started volunteering all sorts of places and I started revamping myself from the inside. I went to counseling myself and found a lot of healing in some of those childhood traumas. And then I committed to 1,000 hours of community service in 1 year. I didn't know what it looked like at the time. I was just kind of praying about it and God, where can you use me? And so I started out doing things like shelters and Thanksgiving meals and, just the usual. And my mom, who has been sober now for almost 12 years, she gives she gives back now to other women and empowers them to not live what they know, like break that cycle, get out of that, like helps them grow. And I was really inspired by her. And she's like, "Hey, I've been contributing to this nonprofit for a while now. And I got an email saying, or maybe it was on Facebook, like saying that they're looking for volunteers. And I know you're trying to fill 1,000 hours this year as part of this, self growth that I wanted to do." And I thought about it for a minute and I'm like, well, I'm not really sure. And I kept reading over it and reading over it. And it was maybe a 3 week process where I prayed about it, went back and forth, and decided, you know what? I'm obviously pro life. I have 4 kids. But I thought, if this is something that I can do, if I can go from how in the world am I going to pay bills? I'd never been on any form of government assistance, $4 to my name. What am I going to do? And watch God provide and watch healing happen and come to this beautiful place where I'm now joining my mom. Like, she's helping drug addicts and alcoholics, like those type of women. And I'm helping other women who have been abused, who have suffered childhood trauma, who have been raped, who have been molested. All of that. I had all of that experience and I felt like God was just calling me to do this. And I'm like, I want to take all this trauma that I've experienced in my life now that I'm on the other side of it, and I want to do something with it. Like, I don't want all of that to just be meaningless. I want that to have had a purpose. I think I took 2 moms for the first 6 months I was here. It was just like getting my feet wet. Is this something that I'm going to enjoy? Absolutely fell in love with both of them. And then after falling in love with them and, the mission of Let Them Live, I started falling in love with Let Them Live as well. Like, just the team and the personalities here and the hearts of the people who are here. And I'm like, that's what I want to surround myself with. I'm still on this healing journey and I may, think I'm over it and I may be giving back, but this is where I want to be. And these are the kind of people I want to be around. And from there, I'm like, okay, bring on the moms. I want to take more connections. I want to see more baby pictures. I want to be more involved. So I did.
Love that. I love your story because it shows not only that, like you said, we all go through trauma and suffering and pain, but what does it mean if we don't then use that to help other people? Like, you don't want, your past troubles to just be for nothing. And so turning that into service and just the way you found out about Let Them Live, and you probably, when you started, you had no idea that you would then become, years later, the, director of the entire counseling team, which is amazing. How has that like role been, like going from volunteering to running the entire department?
So at first it was a little scary. I wasn't sure. We get a lot of inquiries. We have a lot of moms reach out and it just I wasn't sure how I was going to handle that. There are just some months there's 120 different moms who reach out to us for different things. And at first, I didn't feel like I was completely equipped to do it. And again, started praying about it. And I just kept getting more excited and more excited and more excited about it. And I'm like, Nathan said something to me actually that swayed me fully into it. He knew about my goal of 10,000 babies. I'm like, I'm going to be with Let Them Live until I assist with 10,000 babies. And one of the managers had done the math for me and let me know this is how many people you need to work with a week over the next 20 years to hit that goal. And I'm like, perfect. So I was breaking it down. And his advice to me, well, he was kind about, the loving heart that I have. And he's like, we wanna transfer that to other people who are here so that our moms can receive the same experience that your moms were receiving. And I'm like, I love that. Like, that's very kind of you. And then he's like, and think about how much faster you can reach your goal if you're helping with all the moms and all the babies. And that's kind of when it hit me. I'm like, he's right. Like, God's not going to call me to do it if he's not going to give me all the tools I need to accomplish his mission. So now I'm 5 months in. 5 months. I just realized what today's date was. I'm five.
It's already May. I can't believe it. Like, how is this year going so fast?
I know, and I love it. I love getting a look into every situation that comes our way and having an influence on every single mom. And then today we had a couple of births, and just looking at the birth pictures from the other side and watching how the counselor worked with her and what their bond was like, and reading it from the other end is just as beautiful as experiencing it. So I do love it a lot.
I remember there was multiple times where we had kind of like brought the idea up of kind of running the department or, moving up. And you're like, no, 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 like, I love being a pregnancy counselor. And we were like, okay, okay. Like, Tasha, we're like the model pregnancy counselor. Like, if we could just clone Tasha, we could be saving babies left and right. And then Nathan, the reality is like, you can save 10,000 babies in 20 years. And then, but teaching people how to be the counselor that you are, you could save double that, triple that. I don't even know, maybe even more. So I'm really glad that were led to say yes to that. And our counseling department is so much better off because of it. And I really appreciate what you do because it takes a very special person. I mean, I'm always amazed when I hear about how many moms you had at one time and the fact that you were able to like keep everything straight, give them all the, attention and counseling that they needed and save so many lives. And like, it takes a really special person to do that. And so to then pass on your knowledge and help other counselors be like that is just absolutely amazing. And I can totally relate to you with seeing the babies born from the other side. You're not personally counseling, these moms, and you may not, sometimes I don't even know. I'm like, another baby was born. Oh my gosh, that's a wonderful surprise to me, because I'm a little bit more behind the scenes. So I definitely understand how wonderful that is. And to see the fruit of your labor from all the pregnancy counselors is just amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So I feel like I get to do something similar with the counselors that I got to do with the moms. That's one of the approaches that I've taken to counseling. So, like, one of our counselors is currently pregnant, and she's going to have a C-section, and she's going to have, an 8-week maternity leave. And I'm already looking at different resources for her because she's not considering abortion. Obviously, she's with us, but I'm already like looking at things that, she can get, or little grants or things that would be helpful for them. So, in a sense, I'm still working with women and helping them learn how to fill their cups as well so that they can overflow into all the moms.
I love that. I love that you brought that up. And this is not really an angle I've talked about yet on the podcast. What are some things that you do? Like, it is important for the counselors to, like you said, fill their cups, to be taking care of themselves so they can take care of other people. Like, how does that look for you? Like, what are some things that you do for the counselors to make sure that they're, staying on track with taking care of themselves?
So actually we do quite a bit for the counselors. One of the really big things that I'm super excited about is September we're going to have our first whole counselor appreciation month. And so I've been working with volunteers to start gathering free items, like free to us, that I can put in boxes and mail out to each counselor. My goal is to have like $100 worth of spa type items, like things that are relaxing, or even like a gift card for a date night with their family, just something that would give them a break there. So I've been making all those connections and starting to compile items at my house. So that's kind of a big yearly thing. And then the whole month of September, we're going to be utilizing Discord and the counseling debriefing sessions in our monthly meeting to just pour back into the team. And then every quarter, we do a review with our counselors and we let them know what they've been doing great here. So we put together a graphic, and the graphic includes like maybe one of the pictures of a baby that was born that quarter, and a sweet note from a mom, and what your coworkers, in a sense, even though they're volunteers, what your coworkers had to say about you. And we'll put some nice quotes on there that the team said. And we use that time as a time to pour encouragement into them. I personally reach out to every single counselor we have once a month at minimum. Like, they get just some one-on-one time. We can do a Google Meet or a phone call. And I don't use any of that time to talk about their mom situations. Like, this is a time just about them. Tell me what's going on in your life. And sometimes they'll pour out about college stress or family struggles. And then I try to speak that same life into them that I was speaking into the moms before. And if there's a way that we can alleviate it, Sophia is actually really good at this. She's my co director, for anybody who doesn't know. She's really great at giving gifts. She has a gift for giving gifts. And so one of our counselors wasn't sure if she was going to be able to continue counseling because she had a toddler. And she's like, he's a little special needs. And when she would get on the phone, sometimes he wasn't sitting still and being quiet. And it was, you could feel her anxiety. So Sophia calls me when we get done talking to her. And she's like, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go to the store right now. She's like, I'm swinging by Target. And she picked up like this little box full of little boy things. There were like some Hot Wheels in there, a coloring book, a couple of educational books for his level, and then some things that he could touch, like learning toys he could touch with. And the counselor called back almost in tears, like, I just got your box today. I can't believe you guys sent this to me. She's like, my son is just sitting here, opened it up and he's on cloud nine that he got a random surprise in the mail. And for a couple of weeks, he just sat playing in that box. And she said it made her life so much easier. She didn't know why she didn't think of that herself. So even if it's just loving on them in that way, we try to make sure that we're pouring little bits of life in that way. Like, not only are you important, but your family's important.
And that's super important for Let Them Live because, this is not just like a regular job that you have. Like, we're all very passionate about what we do. We're passionate about each other. I know that Nathan and I feel the same way. Whenever someone is going through a hard time or just, something's not right, like, we want to take the time to help them figure it out because we know how tough this can be. And so for you guys to be like mentors to the counselors is absolutely amazing. And that only makes our department and our organization so much better. And I absolutely love like how thoughtful you guys are. And I definitely want to contribute something to that counselor box because I think that's amazing. And that might be another way that I can just show how I'm thankful to them. I call everybody in the organization. I try to get in touch with everyone and just, especially, newer people or people I haven't met yet, and just thank them for everything that they're doing because I've been there. I've been in the counseling position and I know how tough it is. And sometimes it's those little things. And you guys sound like you're doing an amazing job of that. And I think that you guys are setting up a perfect example of what every organization should be doing for their own so that we can provide the best support to the moms who come to us.
I love that. I was it 2 weeks ago. We took some time to handwrite a card to every counselor because I remembered a time when I got a handwritten card from you. I still have it. And I'm not even a card person. I was like, oh, this is really thoughtful. And I saved it. I don't normally save that kind of stuff, but it must have meant something for me to save it all that time. So we kind of stole your idea.
Called one of the pregnancy counselors, I think it was like last week or a couple of weeks ago. And I just said, hey, like, this is Emily. And I'm never going to start a call to someone on our team that I haven't met with, like, hey, this is Emily, the president of Let Them Live. Like, that to me sounds weird because I'm just Emily. So I was like, hey, this is Emily. And after we talked for a little bit, she goes, oh, okay. So are you a volunteer too? Like, she didn't know. And it was so funny. This is like my favorite thing. Like, oh, are you a counselor? Like, and I was like, oh, and I didn't, like, I don't know how to say this. So I was like, oh, actually, like my husband and I started Let Them Live. And she's like, she couldn't believe that I had called her. And that's what I love so much is like, it's kind of a surprise, but it's amazing how a phone call, a handwritten, thank you card, like it goes such a long way. And people really appreciate it. I always appreciate it when I get things in the mail. I get things like surprise from you guys all the time. And I'm like, this is the sweetest, just checking up on people. So I love that you guys do that. And I love that you treat your counselors like family. I mean, you guys are all sharing a very common bond with each other. And tell me too, like maybe in your experience as director of counseling, I'm sure that there's some really difficult situations that you have to navigate, but how do you navigate when a counselor is like feeling burnout, or what would you say to a pregnancy counselor who maybe their mom, the first mom they had an abortion, or they're just really feeling down on themselves?
So we've actually had both of the scenarios that you just mentioned. Counselor burnout is a real thing because you get such a connection with that mom It's almost like they take on the emotions. So if you're working with 10 different women and you're taking on the emotion of 10 different women, plus your own emotions, because you're running your own life, you might be a mom and a wife. It is a real thing, which is why we do so many checkups on them to make sure that, look for the signs of I'm getting a little overwhelmed. So if we notice that a counselor is, I always give them a personal call. It's FaceTime or Google Meet so that we can look at each other and it feels a little more personable. And then we put them on a red status so they won't be taking any new moms in until they have a little bit of a break. And then sometimes Sophia and I will put together a little gift to send them of encouragement. We have sent out little devotionals that are like journaling type where you can write in them and just get that in the mail. And then we let them know, like, hey, it's okay to take a couple of days off. We think that it would be a good time for you to like enjoy the sunshine, get out with your family. If any of your moms need assistance, we can take over that for you and we'll pitch in and make a phone call if they have, a pressing situation that needs attention. Then Sophia and I will hop in and do that for them. And then it's something similar because it's really hard on a new counselor or any counselor for that matter, but especially a new counselor because they tend to think that they did something wrong, when they're counseling a mom out of abortion. So we usually have them take 2 days off as well, and we'll send them bits of encouragement and again a call, let them talk through it and come back when they're ready and explain that it isn't their fault, like we're here to assist somebody and they just chose to not want our assistance, which is really unfortunate. But we did have a counselor who was so upset she didn't come back to counseling for about 3 months. She was very torn up about it. And thankfully, we have our own doctor on our team. She's written a book, she's a life coach, and we brought her on actually to be available to our moms, especially if they didn't have any insurance that would cover it. And she would do some of that life coaching with them. And she has made herself available to our team. And so that's something that, she just volunteers her time because she loves us. She will work with the counselor as well and reach out to them and say, okay, like we'll do this together. And so we kind of have a whole team of people pitching in, not just you, we're all together.
I love that. And I think that mentality, especially when it comes to something so emotional or something that can be so emotional as pregnancy counseling, it's nice for the counselors to know that they're not an island. They're not, having to figure everything out on their own. And maybe it was like that before, but we have infrastructure now, like so many resources like you and Sophia and Dr. Joy and like so many, the counselors leaning on each other and the support of even Nathan and I and Holly and like just everybody in the organization. And we recognize that counseling is like, that's our biggest department. That's where we pour most of, our energy into. And I can definitely see now, like, I understand why. And it's amazing that you guys give counselors the space to kind of work through their emotions. And it is hard when you're taking on the emotions of so many women, but this is part of the reason we promote from within, because you and Sophia can both say, we've been there, we totally understand it. We're not coming from the outside. So you're able to reach the counselors in a way that makes sense to them.
That is 100% correct. But I've had many conversations with counselors, even about things pertaining to like, here's how you put together freezer meals for your own family so that we can store these up. Like we're pouring it in from every direction. And I feel like we're that way because the people behind us are that way. I feel supported by everyone who's here. There's no one I don't feel comfortable reaching out to, like, hey, this is my issue. I know this isn't even your department, but that person is on, vacation right now. So I need help. And anybody will step in. I learned something from the bank that I used to work at, and they said, never pass the buck. Like, it's not somebody else's responsibility. Like, don't pass that off. Yet everyone seemed to do that. And I was a people pleaser. So I was like the catch all of everyone passing the buck. And since I've been with Let Them Live, I feel like it's completely the opposite. If I reach out for help, somebody's like, oh, I'll send an email right now to so and so. And then if you give me 5 minutes, I'm going to make a call. I'm like, I just asked one question.
You reach out for help, 20 people are like, what can I do? And you're like, oh my gosh, okay, I did not expect that.
It is incredible. So I feel like I'm getting all this support back here, and that's just filtering down. It's filtering to our counselors, it's filtering to our moms, and it's really nice.
I love that. I have one last question for you. If there's someone listening or watching that is considering, becoming a pregnancy counselor or just, considering even joining Let Them Live, like what advice would you give them?
I would say it's definitely worth it. I came in with a mindset that I was going to be making a difference in somebody else's life. And I liked that. I'm like, you know what? I did this for me. I want to make a difference for somebody else. And I very quickly learned that these people are changing me more than I'm changing them. And I can't tell you how many days I've cried tears of joy, tears of sadness because somebody had a miscarriage or a stillbirth at 36 weeks. And the bond that I formed with them, some of the moms would call me before they even called their own family and just say, I didn't know who else to call, but I wanted somebody to walk me through it. And those are precious friendships that I don't know, they brought out a different side of me that I didn't know was even there. And I would say don't even hesitate, because it's going to be just as much of a blessing to you as it's going to be to somebody else. You're going to learn and grow and get to be a part of something that is unlike anything else. It's really beautiful.
Oh my gosh, well said. I'm gonna cry. This was amazing. Like you just have a way of saying things. If you haven't already noticed, Tasha, I just love you. I think you're amazing. I think everyone in the organization should talk to you at some point because you just have an amazing spirit. Like you just have a wonderful outlook. And for Nathan and I, it's amazing that we have found people like you that love Let Them Live just as much as we do and are giving your all to it. You're dedicating your life to this work. And to us, that is just absolutely amazing. And we're very, very blessed that we get to have you and have you continue our mission and make it better too. That's the best thing. You guys have made Let Them Live so much better in a way that we couldn't have done. And so we're always just so grateful. And I'm so glad that you came on to talk about your experience. Is there anything else that you want to just like leave with? I don't know if there's anything else that we didn't cover, but I'm gonna give you last word here.
No, I feel great. I feel like it was a great conversation, and I hope that somebody listening reaches out to join our team or to make a difference in some way because it's really beautiful and it will be a blessing to you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for coming on. And for those of you listening, thank you so much for tuning in. And we will be back again soon with another episode. I'm not sure who we're interviewing next. Oh, I am interviewing Diamond, one of our moms next. So yes, that will be an amazing, amazing one. But thank you again, Tasha, for taking the time. And we're just going to be praying for you and everything that you guys are doing in the counseling team to save lives.
You are so welcome.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Let Them Live podcast. I would like to give a special shout out to Patrick at Moon Shadow Studios for doing such an amazing job of editing our podcasts. Let Them Live is a Christian nonprofit dedicated to supporting women who are considering abortion primarily due to financial burden. 73% of women have abortions because of financial struggles, and we're here to bridge that gap. Our goal is to provide the emotional and financial support women need to feel empowered to choose life. If our cause resonates with you and you're interested in learning more, getting involved, or making a donation, please visit our website at www.letthemlive.org. One amazing way to contribute is by joining our Heartbeat Club, where you can become a monthly donor, and your ongoing support will ensure we can continue helping women every single month. You can also follow us on social media to stay up to date with all the amazing stories and ways that you can be part of our mission. We are on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and Twitter. Just search for @LetThemLiveOrg, and you can also find me on Instagram @EmilyBurning. Thank you once again for joining, and please join us for more upcoming inspiring stories and conversations.
This episode of the Let Them Live podcast was produced for you by Moon Shadow Studios. Put your podcast in good hands today and take advantage of our special first-time client discounts by visiting moonshadowstudios.biz or by following us on Instagram and Twitter @Moonshadow Studios.